They told everyone I had memory loss to justify taking over my will. I said nothing until my grandchild handed me a puzzle and asked, "Can you still finish one?" I did in under 10 minutes. What I did next with that lawyer at the kitchen table. I'm 78 years old, and I live alone in my small house in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I've been in this house for nearly 50 years. My late husband, Peter, and I raised our family here, 3 kids, all grown now. Mark's the oldest at 52, Denise is 49, and Rachel is the youngest, 45. My husband passed away 5 years ago after a long battle with lung cancer. It was hard, but I managed. I still do, or at least I thought I did. At first, it felt good when they started coming by more often. Denise would show up with groceries, Mark would help me with bills, and Rachel would drop off baked goods. It felt like they cared, like they wanted to make sure I was doing all right. But after a while, it started to feel different. Like they weren't just visiting. They were checking. Watching. Testing. Mark would glance through my mail, sometimes even taking it without asking. Denise started asking about my medication, questioning if I remembered to take it. Rachel started pointing out little things, like the time I forgot where I left my car keys, or when I called her twice in a day because I forgot I had already spoken to her. Then one day, Mark showed up with a man in a suit, Mr. Patterson, an estate lawyer. They said they wanted to help me get my affairs in order. I trusted them. Mark had always been good with money, and I figured maybe they were right. I'm getting older, maybe I should let someone else help with the big stuff. They had me sign a stack of papers. I didn't read them all carefully. I thought it was just a will update. A week later, I got a call from the bank. Mark was now the primary on my accounts. He could withdraw money, transfer funds, make decisions. I was furious. I called him right away, and he told me it was for my own good. He said they were worried I was slipping, that I might forget to pay bills or get scammed by telemarketers. Denise backed him up, saying I'd been forgetting a lot lately. That's when it hit me. They were telling people I was losing my mind. They were building a case, trying to make me look incompetent so they could take over. I kept quiet at first. I didn't want to make a scene. But inside, I was boiling. Then one day, Lily, my 10-year-old granddaughter, came over. We were sitting at the table, and she pulled a jigsaw puzzle out of her backpack. We used to do puzzles together when she was younger. She looked at me, so sweet, and asked, "Grandma, can you still finish one of these?" That question hit me like a punch to the gut. It wasn't her fault. She was just a kid. But I could see it. My own family had been feeding her lies, making her think I was some forgetful old lady who couldn't even handle a puzzle. I sat down with her, and we started. It was a 1,000-piece puzzle of a lighthouse. I finished it in under 10 minutes. I worked through it like I was possessed, my hands moving fast, snapping pieces into place, my mind sharp as ever. When I was done, I looked at Lily and said, "See? Still got it." That's when I knew. I had to do something. I called my doctor and scheduled an appointment. I told him everything, how my kids were trying to make me look incompetent. He ran a full cognitive test. The results were clear. I had no signs of dementia, no memory problems beyond the usual forgetfulness that comes with age. Armed with those results, I called an elder law attorney, Ms. Thompson. She listened, took notes, and told me that what my kids were doing. Taking over my finances, spreading rumors about my mental state, using a lawyer to get me to sign papers without fully explaining them, was elder abuse. Plain and simple. We made a plan. I invited Mark, Denise, and Mr. Patterson over for coffee. I told them we needed to finalize some estate details. I also invited Ms. Thompson and my doctor. They didn't know that, of course. When they showed up, we all sat around the kitchen table. I watched their faces as Ms. Thompson laid out the facts. My doctor spoke up first, reading his report and saying clearly, "Mrs. Miller has no cognitive impairment. She is fully capable of managing her own affairs. Mark's face turned pale. Denise's mouth dropped open. Mr. Patterson shifted uncomfortably in his seat. I didn't say a word at first. I just looked at each of them in turn, letting the weight of the moment sink in. That's where I'll leave it for now. Because what I did next, at that kitchen table, changed everything. And it wasn't just about my will anymore. I stared at them, Mark, Denise, and that damn lawyer, Mr. Patterson. They looked like they wanted the floor to open up and swallow them. Denise was fidgeting with her napkin, tearing it into little pieces like a nervous kid. Mark just sat there, silent, his face getting redder by the second. I leaned forward and spoke, calm but cold. So, you thought I wouldn't notice, huh? That I'd just let you walk all over me, take everything I worked for, everything your father and I built. You thought I'd just sit here, drooling in a corner while you decided what happens to my money? Mark tried to speak, his voice cracking. Mom, I cut him off. No, you weren't. You weren't just anything. You were lying to your own mother, telling people I was losing my mind so you could steal from me. Denise jumped in, her voice high and tight. We were worried, okay? You've been forgetting things. The other day you left the stove on. I slammed my hand on the table. The sound echoed through the kitchen, and Lily flinched where she was sitting in the living room, coloring quietly like none of this was happening. Enough! I shouted. You think I don't know what this is about? You want the house. You want the money. You think you're entitled to it because you're my children. Well, you're not. You've got your own lives. You make your own damn money. You don't get to take mine. Ms. Thompson cleared her throat, looking at Mark and Denise like a judge staring down a couple of criminals. Just so we're clear, she said firmly, this is elder financial abuse. And there are serious legal consequences. Mark tried to play it off, acting like it was all a misunderstanding. Mom, we were just trying to help. We thought it was the responsible thing to do. Responsible? I snapped. By forging my trust and making decisions behind my back. That's when Ms. Thompson pulled out copies of the papers I'd signed, my original will, the new power of attorney they tricked me into signing, and the bank documents Mark had filed. She pointed to Mark's signature and said, this shows you were transferring assets without her consent. That's illegal. Mark's face drained of color. Denise started crying, saying she didn't know it had gone that far, that Mark was the one who pushed everything through. And then there was Mr. Patterson, the so-called lawyer. I turned my attention to him. Tell me, Mr. Patterson, I said, my voice cold as ice, when you came into my home and had me sign those papers, did you ever once tell me I had the right to independent counsel? Did you explain exactly what I was signing? He stammered, I believed Mark was acting in your best interest. It wasn't my place to question a concerned son, Ms. Thompson cut in sharply. It was your place to ensure the client fully understood the documents. What you did was unethical at best. At worst, you could lose your license over this. I sat back in my chair and let the silence fill the room. The only sound was Lily's pencil scratching on her coloring book. I looked at my kids and said quietly, you made me look like a fool. To my friends, to the neighbors, to my own granddaughter. You thought I was done. You thought I was too old to fight back. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Mark was sweating now. Denise was full on crying. And Mr. Patterson? He was checking his watch, like he couldn't get out of there fast enough. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I leaned back in my chair, letting the weight of the silence crush them for a moment longer. Mark tried to recover, straightening up like he was about to lecture me. Mom, let's not blow this out of proportion. We can just go back to the way things were. I'll help you with the bills, Denise can handle groceries. I held up my hand, cutting him off mid-sentence. No, Mark. This is done. And so are you. Ms. Thompson opened a folder and slid a stack of papers across the table. This is a formal revocation of the power of attorney and a petition for civil damages related to financial exploitation. Mark's jaw dropped. He looked from the papers to me, his voice rising. You're suing us? You're suing your own kids? Yes, Mark, I said, calm but firm. And not just you. I turned to Mr. Patterson. Ms. Thompson has already reported you to the Iowa Bar Association. Expect an investigation. His face turned ghostly pale. Mrs. Miller, please, let's not overreact. Ms. Thompson didn't even blink. I've already drafted a complaint. You'll be hearing from the disciplinary board. That was when the real twist hit. I looked at Mark, steady and cold. You thought I didn't know about the investments you made with my money? His face went slack. I had Lily step out of the room. I wasn't going to let her hear this mess. When the door shut behind her, I continued. I checked the accounts, Mark. I know you transferred $50,000 into that shady crypto scheme. I know you took out a personal loan using my house as collateral. And I know you've been paying off your own credit card debt from my account. Mark's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Denise's eyes went wide. She clearly had no clue just how deep her brother's theft went. Ms. Thompson laid it out. We've already spoken to the district attorney's office. You'll be getting a visit from the authorities. What you've done is a felony, Mark. Grand theft. Fraud. Elder abuse. That was when Mark finally lost it. He stood up so fast his chair clattered to the floor. He started yelling. Swearing, calling me ungrateful, accusing me of turning my back on family. Denise tried to calm him down, but he shoved her away. It was pathetic. I stood up too, but I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. I just looked at them, steady, firm, unflinching. I trusted you, I said, my voice low. I trusted you with my life, my legacy, my grandchildren's future. And you tried to steal it all. Mark stormed out of the house, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. Denise stayed, sobbing quietly, but I didn't comfort her. She had stood by and let this happen. That made her just as guilty. In the weeks that followed, the fallout was brutal. Mark was arrested, charged with financial exploitation of the elderly, grand larceny, and fraud. He ended up taking a plea deal, but the judge still sentenced him to 2 years in prison and ordered full restitution. The court forced him to sell his house to repay what he stole from me. Mr. Patterson lost his law license. The Iowa Bar Association disbarred him for unethical conduct, and he faced a hefty fine. Denise tried to apologize, but I wasn't ready to forgive. She hadn't spoken up when it mattered most. I told her I needed time, and I meant it. As for me, I rewrote my will entirely. Mark and Denise? They're out. I left everything to my grandchildren, especially Lily. She was the one who reminded me of my own strength, without even meaning to. And I set up a trust fund in her name, so she and the others could go to college, start businesses, or whatever they dream of, without strings, without manipulation, without guilt. Every time Lily comes over now, we work on puzzles together. And every time I look at her, I think, this is why I fought. This is why I didn't let them win. They thought they could take my mind, my money, my life. But they forgot one thing. I'm not done yet. Not even close. The day Mark walked out of my house for the last time, I sat at that kitchen table, staring at the papers in front of me. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of it all. It was over. The lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting, it was done. But I wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. That week, I called the bank and froze every account Mark had touched. The banker, a kind woman named Sharon, walked me through the process. She was gentle, but she didn't sugarcoat it. What Mark had done was serious, and I was lucky I caught it before he drained me dry. Ms. Thompson filed the civil suit, and the authorities moved fast. Within days, Mark was served at his office. The look on his face when he was arrested, caught on the local news cameras as he was led out in handcuffs, that image will stay burned in my mind forever. He tried to call me from jail. Left me voicemails, saying it was all a mistake, that he just borrowed the money, that he never meant to hurt me. I didn't pick up. Not once. Denise? She kept her distance for a while, but eventually she showed up at my door, eyes puffy, hands wringing, voice shaking. Mom, I didn't know he was doing all that. I just thought we were helping you. I'm sorry. Please, I looked her dead in the eye and said, you stood there and watched. You never questioned him. You never questioned yourself. She broke down crying, right there on my porch. I told her I needed space, time to think, time to breathe. I wasn't ready to forgive. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Mr. Patterson tried to send me a letter, apologizing, begging for mercy. I sent it straight to the shredder. When the court date came, I sat in the front row, right behind the prosecution table. Mark wouldn't even look at me. He pled guilty, took a deal, but the judge wasn't soft on him. 2 years in prison, 5 years probation, restitution of every dollar he took. He lost his job, his house, and most of his so-called friends. Denise didn't face charges, but she lost my trust, and she knew it. As for me, I took my time rebuilding. I changed banks, hired a new financial advisor I trust, and updated my will. I made it crystal clear, every cent, every asset, everything I leave behind goes to my grandchildren. Not my kids. They already got their shot. They blew it. And I didn't stop there. I joined a local group for elder abuse survivors. I started speaking at meetings, telling my story, warning others not to be as trusting as I was. I made it my mission to help other seniors avoid what I went through. Lily comes over every Saturday. We sit at the table, working on puzzles, just like before. The other day, she looked up at me and said, "Grandma, I told my teacher you're the smartest person I know." That almost broke me. I hugged her so tight, she squealed. She doesn't know the half of it yet. Someday, maybe I'll tell her the whole story, how her mother and uncle tried to take me down, how I fought back, how I won. For now, I'm just Grandma. The one who still finishes a puzzle in under 10 minutes. And the one who never, ever lets anyone steal what's hers again.